quiet farming town of Ashford, Iowa. Standing beside an old wooden fence was 17-year-old Thomas Reed. In his trembling hands, he held yesterday's newspaper. The front page spoke of war. More American soldiers had crossed the ocean, more battles had been fought, more lives had been lost, and more families had received the heartbreaking telegram that every parent feared. But Thomas wasn't reading the headlines. His eyes were locked on a single photograph, a group of young soldiers standing shoulder to shoulder.
Before leaving, he had placed his warrant back home. 3 months
Looked fearless. Others tried to hide their fear, yet every face carried the same quiet determination. As Thomas stared at the picture, he imagined one familiar face among them, his older brother, Samuel. 2 years earlier, Samuel had left home wearing the same proud smile. Before he boarded the train, he placed his old leather compass into Thomas's hands. Then he said something Thomas would never forget. No matter where life takes you, always find your way back home. But Samuel never came home. Only 3 months later, another letter arrived. It wasn't written by Samuel, it came from the United States War Department. The message was short, cold, unforgiving. Staff Sergeant Samuel Reed had been killed during heavy fighting in Italy. From that day forward, silence filled the Reed family home. Thomas's mother rarely smiled again. His father buried himself in endless hours of work, speaking less with each passing season. Every evening, one chair at the dinner table remained empty. No one ever moved it, no one ever spoke about it. But Thomas carried that empty chair.
recruiting office with a heart.
How old are you, son?
Sir.
That small lie opened the door to a world no 17-year-old could ever truly understand.
And echoed through his mind. If Samuel was old enough to give his life for his country, why am I too young to serve it? That question slowly became an obsession. By the spring of 1944, war was everywhere. On the radio, in the newspapers, inside every conversation. Boys barely older than Thomas were leaving home. Some returned wearing medals. Many never returned at all. Then, Thomas made the decision.
History. Every sunrise echoed with the thunder of warships. Every sunset disappeared behind columns of black smoke. Thousands of young men crossed these waters. Many never returned. Yet beyond the beaches, beyond the headlines, and far from history's famous battlefields, another war was quietly unfolding. Not with rifles, not with tanks, but inside small canvas hospitals, where life and death fought a different battle every single day. Among those forgotten heroes was a young American Army nurse. Her name was Evelyn Harper. She was only 26 years old. Before the war, she lived a quiet life in Portland, Oregon. She dreamed of becoming a pediatric nurse, helping children, healing families, bringing smiles. Instead of witnessing sorrow, war was never supposed to become part of her story. Then, everything changed. December 7th, 1941. Pearl Harbor. Within hours, America entered the war. Hospitals across the country urgently called for volunteers. Thousands answered. Evelyn was one of them. The morning she left home, her mother embraced her tightly. Neither of them spoke for several moments. Finally, Evelyn whispered a promise. "I'll come home before the roses bloom again." It sounded so simple, so certain. Neither woman knew how impossible that promise would become. Months later, Evelyn stepped onto a remote island, deep within the Pacific. The air was thick with heat, salt, mud, smoke, and the bitter smell of burning fuel. Palm trees, once symbols of paradise, now stood shattered by explosions. The beaches were scarred with deep craters. Broken landing craft lay abandoned beneath the tropical sun. Paradise had become a battlefield. The field hospital never truly slept. Stretchers arrived day and night. Doctors shouted urgent orders. Generators hummed endlessly. Medical supplies disappeared faster than replacement ships could deliver them. The wounded kept coming. Some whispered for their mothers. Some begged to know if the battle had been won. Others never spoke again. Every face carried its own sigh, and sometimes it meant writing a final letter for a soldier who could no longer lift a pen. Each evening, after the operating lamps dimmed, Evelyn carried a small leather notebook outside the tent. She sat beneath a lonely palm tree as the sounds of distant artillery echoed across the ocean. Inside that notebook, she carefully wrote names, not military numbers, not ranks, names: Private James Collins, Corporal Henry Lewis, Lieutenant Robert Gaines. Beside each name, she wrote something deeply personal. Loved jazz music, missed his little sister, dreamed of becoming a school teacher. To Evelyn, no soldier deserved to become just another forgotten statistic. Weeks slowly turned into months. The fighting intensified. Enemy aircraft appeared without warning. Bombs shook the island. Hospital tents trembled beneath every explosion. The battlefield was moving closer. Then, one afternoon, everything changed. Dark tropical clouds rolled across the sky. Rain poured heavily onto the camp. Suddenly, the sound of engines filled the air. A convoy of military trucks burst through the hospital gates. Drivers jumped out, shouting desperately, "Mass casualties!" Within seconds, doctors, nurses, and medics rushed into action.